What is shame and how can you let it go? So there are two different types of emotions that tend to be pretty closely linked. One is shame and the other is guilt. Guilt is usually associated with something that you feel that you've done. So it's based in an action. You'll feel guilty about having done something, but typically a person feels shame about who they are and not just about something that they've done. So, for example, if you stole something from a store, you might feel guilty about having done that. But let's say that you have been raped, you would feel shame because of that feeling, that sense that you have been shamed, that you're a horrible person, and it's of no fault of your own. And this is basically what happens with us. And we feel shame. A lot of us feel shame. I'd say most of us feel shame just in areas of our life that we may have even covered over and not even addressed, that have to do with our upbringing. And may not even identify it as shame. In fact, a lot of people probably distract themselves enough in life that they don't even realize that the underlying emotion that is driving them that it is actually shame, or it's a feeling of unworthiness, but it's tied to this feeling of shame that has to do with their identity. They just don't feel good enough. They feel shame about their unworthiness, about not being the person that they feel they should be. And that could be that they don't feel like they're righteous enough because of a religious aspect, or if they don't feel like they're successful enough, rich enough. And a lot of times it's because they have this underlying sense of shame that comes from just the various inputs that they've gotten from infanthood all the way to today, even. The messages that society has given them, that their adult figures have given them, that leaders in their lives have given them, have kind of built up this sense of shame in who they are. Now, there are some areas where, like I mentioned, rape, where a person feels the shame overtly and they know it. They can feel that they feel the shame and they know it's shame. And then there's people that are driven in life, but they haven't uncovered the emotions, they haven't exposed them well enough to themselves to even identify that it's shame that's driving them. And by getting into the emotions, maybe the emotions that are actually coming up, like possibly anger and fear, anxiety, sadness. These emotions are the emotions that are probably at the surface. And as you dig down deeper and deeper and deeper into them, you may find that there's an underlying sense of shame that has actually caused those secondary emotions to be exhibited in your life. It's through the tapping process that I've brought up before that you could probably get through each of those layers of emotions and get to that shame. If you aren't already admitting to yourself that you feel some shame right now, if you are there, then you can begin to release it by practicing the tapping method that I had mentioned before, which is going to the karate chop point and saying, even though I feel this shame, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I feel shame, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Even though I have shame, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. This shame, I feel shame, this sense of shame, this feeling of shame, this shame, this shame, this feeling of shame under the armpit there. So that processing, going over it again and again, when you identify the shame, and actually if you can identify what it is that you feel is causing it, you can tap on those aspects of that shame as well to help yourself help relieve yourself of it, or release that shame from your life. And as you release the shame, these other secondary emotions will cease to come up. At least they will cease to come up in association with that shame. You may still feel anger, sadness, fear, pain, whatever, from some other aspect of your life, but shame is usually a pretty big one in most people's lives. And so by releasing that shame, you're actually releasing a lot of other emotional energy that then you don't need to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And by relieving yourself of that shame, releasing it from your life, you find that you're more empathetic with other people, because you begin to realize that you're not the only one that feels this shame. You're not the only one that has been burdened with this shame. There's people all around you that deal with it on a daily basis and probably don't even realize it. And that can give you a sense of compassion for the people around you. Just realizing that every one of us has something that's pulling us down in some way. At least virtually all of us. There are some who I believe have escaped the suffering, but for the most part, the rest of us have some attachments that keep us from fully experiencing the pure joy of life on a consistent basis. And through these methods, through the releasing of emotions and using the tapping and so forth, you can get yourself to feel more authentic and enjoy your life more. This is a short video for today. Hope you get some value from it. Have a good one.